This is Beach Talk Radio. This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Yeah, let's hear it, everybody. Big round of applause. You see, thank you very much. Welcome to Wahoo Willie's, another packed house here, Peter, for Sunday brunch, because you guys, not for the show, because you have a great breakfast.
Breakfast is great.
Breakfast is unbelievable. And we have the mayor coming up shortly, but first, we wanted to introduce you to Peter, who is the co-owner. Is that correct, or are you the actual owner?
That's correct.
The co-owner of Wahoo Willie's in Snug Harbor right now. And and Drew from the Lions Club, because we have a little check presentation coming on.
Good morning.
Drew, how did the Shrimp Festival do this year? How did we do?
Shrimp Festival was great. It was really good response from everybody. The community was really happy to get it back. The parade folks were just really ecstatic to have that back, and it was a really good feeling to have this such a big community event come back in such a big way this year.
Did you raise some money?
We raised some money, yeah, and it's still happening, right? So the money that came in from the event was unexpectedly good.
Yeah, well, how much was it, Drew?
Well, we don't have the final
Drew, it's
numbers.
been like 4 weeks since the Shrimp Festival. How long does it take you to count all the money?
Checks. Well, there's still restaurants, right? So
I mean, roughly $100, or I mean, what are we at here? How much do you think are we close to?
So we're close to 30,000.
Nice.
Wow,
and what will you do with all that money?
So,
buy some new hats.
Right. Well, I don't want to give away the ghost, but so the big deal is the scholarships. So, and those are open now. So fmblions.com, there's applications on there now. So this is secondary education for our local kids and young adults going to college or, extra. So in any kind of advanced degrees.
And Peter, you're here just because you look pretty.
Yeah, just because I want to sit by Drew in a shrimp hat.
Yeah,
wow.
You should have put a shrimp hat on your bald head there.
I should have brought more.
Have you ever worn one of those shrimp hats?
I have not. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it totally makes you look foolish, but I love wearing them. I mean, they're great.
They are.
We
sold a lot of them.
We were just talking before we went live that Drew gave us 50 hats to sold, and I think we took 25 to the concert. I don't remember where we took 25, and I left 25 in my garage, and then I shipped 25. People love these hats, and there's hats. They're all over the country right now, these crazy hats.
It does my heart glad to see lots of people, looking ridiculous.
It's nice
wearing these hats.
How does it feel to have a heart? Nice.
It grows 3 sizes.
I see. So, Peter, why are you here?
I'm here on behalf of Snug Harbor and Wahoo Willie's, and like a lot of other restaurants on Fort Myers Beach. We're donating money from the Shrimp Crawl to the Lions Club. So I brought a little check. Ed, if you want to help me.
Yeah. All right. Let's whip that thing around. A check for $1,000 from Snug Harbor and Wahoo Willie's.
Yeah. So thank you to everyone at Fort Myers Beach and all the support to the restaurants along with the Lions Club. It was a great event, and Drew and I are just talking about how next year will be just as good or better.
Yeah, and a huge thank you on behalf of the Lions Club, and this was a real testament to the great event that we had, and also a real validation to the effort that went into this. We had a lot of help from a lot of folks, the volunteers and the restaurants and Tuna Skin that came up really huge this year, and the town that put on Jeff Hagee and his crew there. So a really, really huge effort this year, and this is part of that validation.
The parade was great, and the town's participation in the parade and the work Jeff put into. I mean, it was great to see all those people lined up on Estero Boulevard again for a parade after seeing Estero Boulevard filled with sand and broken buildings. So it was really nice.
For weeks after, we heard our staff and customers so grateful for the parade. They really were happy the parade was back.
And to have the vendors come down here, because after the parade, it was like a sea of people coming down to buy products. So that's nice.
That's always been the the driver of that parade really is just to create that tidal wave, that tsunami of people to come down and really enjoy the beach and the downtown core here and all parts.
You know, Drew, the town of Fort Myers Beach made Kim and I honorary citizens of Fort Myers Beach. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
I would appreciate it if you made us honorary citizens of the Lions Club so I can get one of those damn yellow pennies. I mean, I need a penny like that.
I will personally sponsor you. Join anytime.
All it takes is $25 a year, and you too can get a penny. No, what is the how much does it cost to join?
I think all in, it's about $100 a year.
Oh, that's okay. I can afford that.
Yeah, it's
little coffee money.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's a ton of fun.
Anything else you want to say, Peter?
No,
before we let
again,
you go?
thanks to everyone who got involved. Thanks, Drew, for stepping up with the Lions Club and making it a wonderful event.
Thank you.
Hey,
thank you to Peter and Drew. A big
really
hand for the Lions Club and for Snug Harbor and Wahoo Willies and
thank you to Kim.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yes, thank you guys for coming on. And now I'd like to introduce the star of the show. No, not Dan Allers, not the mayor. It's my wife of soon to be 30 years. And she'll be spending our anniversary in Africa later this year. She's taking a trip with the Schoonovers. Did they show up today? She'll be going to Africa, which she introduced to everybody yesterday. She told everybody yesterday she was going to Africa. And the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, the Honorable Dan Allers. Come on down, Dan. Let's get into this FEMA thing. Welcome.
Do you have the papers?
I have the papers.
The papers.
Let me see your papers.
Get into the FEMA thing.
Yeah.
Should I order a double now? Or?
Here, scoot on in.
All right.
All right. There we are.
Move over. You got space on the camera.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Dan. So, I mean, there's no sense in wasting any time when.
Can you
What?
just
Fire
welcome
away.
him?
Nah.
And,
I mean, he's on every Sunday.
Is there
we don't
any
need to go through all
updates
those.
you want to get? Well, we
No,
didn't.
let's skip
we
the
didn't see him
updates.
last week.
The only thing
Did
people
you have a nice Easter? Did you go out on the boat with your wife?
I did not. So I've been
You
shackled.
did not have a good Easter, or you did not go out on the
No, it was
boat?
good Easter. We were busy, but I was working, and Megan was able to partake in some Easter activities. Her favorite holiday is Easter, so
really.
I felt bad that I had to be working, but she understands. And
Yeah.
I didn't get to go out on the boat, so I've been shackled in the Dan cave ever since.
So you get a call last week, and it's from your friends at FEMA, who, I mean, I love FEMA, as you all know. I've talked friendly about FEMA since, other than the debris cleanup, clearly the debris cleanup that they paid for was, it was awesome. They did a great job, and they didn't do the work. Obviously, they were contractors that did the work,
Yeah,
but they paid for it.
Yeah, the state stepped up and took everybody's contracts under their wing and really was spearheading that whole thing. So that saved all of Lee County, quite honestly.
Yeah. So from the minute we started this show, maybe not the minute. Hey, Debbie, how are you guys doing? I love the way your house is coming. I went by your house yesterday.
I went by it today.
Wow.
They've
Did you hear
got
me?
the rendition up of it.
I know.
And,
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, Debbie's house and her husband's house, of course.
Jamie.
It was Jamie. It was
He
just
just shrugs his shoulders.
when they knocked the house down, they had the pool. It was just a pool in the background on the beach. They have a pool on the beach with the fence around
and
it.
they're at the end of Andre Marr, right? On the beach.
On the
Yes.
beach. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
now you can see the progress of their
It's
house.
crazy.
It really looks great. The house is going
that
to be
thing's
super
going to be
nice.
a castle. I love
Yeah.
it.
You go down.
Are we going to have a
you guys
ribbon
go
cutting
anything
at your house? Can we do a show at your house?
A ribbon
on the
cutting?
top
Yeah.
floor? Speaking of ribbon cuttings, Tuesday is the first day that your 7-Eleven will be open on the south end. You'll be able to get gasoline finally
Yes.
on
the
Fort Myers
9th.
Beach. Isn't that Tuesday?
I don't know. It's the 9th. It was going to be the 8th. They had to move it back one day. So whatever
Is
the
it
9th
Tuesday
is,
or whatever?
I don't even know
yeah.
what the date is today.
So much for diving right in. It's
I know.
okay for you to take a right turn.
Well,
but
when you see the Hodka
Squirrel.
family,
Squirrel.
you got to
no
get an
kidding.
update on their house.
We had the ADHD talk
From-
yesterday.
From the beginning of time since you've been on this show, you've been saying out loud, for those of you that are doing work without a permit, you're going to cost this town. It's going to be trouble, and you're going to get caught. And do you think that is coming home to roost now?
Potentially. I mean, so just you had started the show by asking about the call. So FEMA had set up
back
a
it
call
up.
Sorry.
Good, Dan.
with staff on for a time. I don't remember exactly what the time was. Then they changed the time. So Andy and Frankie could not be on that call. They had another meeting that they had to be in. But Kristen, our floodplain manager, was on that call. We didn't know what the call was about. Obviously, we do now. So when Andy found out, they worked to get a call with FEMA in Atlanta the very next day and say, you know, we need some answers and some explanations. So that's kind of how the whole thing started. And then obviously they let all of us know that the call had came in and this is what it was about. So we were all scrambling with Lee County trying to figure out why were some people in, why were some people out? We still don't know the answers, but that's what kind of started the entire thing. We obviously everybody was double checking to make sure all their, you know, I's were dotted and T's were crossed. And we have a folder for all the properties that, you know, the council has not seen. We can't see the properties. Only the floodplain manager can see the properties. So we don't even know what properties
let me
they are.
just
give a little context.
Let me just kind of
so-
tell everybody about, there's 105 properties, which is the low. Well,
I know, but
I don't want to confuse the
Does
two things.
everyone know the CRS rating? The rating
Yeah, I
got
think everybody
put down.
knows.
Okay.
They're all probably affected by it, but
No.
105 properties that FEMA says.
But I think Kim's got a good point for those that maybe are listening
Thank you,
that don't understand.
Dan.
So the
Ding,
National
ding,
Flood
ding.
Insurance Program, if you live in a floodplain area and you have a mortgage on your home, you have to carry flood insurance. There is no choice.
Right.
Well, the flood insurance program is regulated by FEMA. They're the ones that are the financial backers or the underwriters, if you will, of the National Flood Insurance Program. So again, if you have a mortgage on your property, you have to have flood insurance. Well, the town at the time of the storm, we were at a rating of 5. So our residents were saving 25%. For some reason.
And had been for a long time.
Yes.
Well, we
right?
had worked a very long time, and it wasn't very long ago that we went. I think it was from a 7 or 8 to that 5. So
Oh.
we had worked very hard to
get
make
it
sure we
down.
were in compliance to get down to that rating of a 5. And it takes years and years and years to get there.
Mhm.
So when you get there and you've worked very hard and you've done everything that you're supposed to do, to have that completely taken away from you without any explanation, it's hard to go to your constituents and say, I wish I had an answer, but we don't know. And we still don't know.
And so for everybody, if you're not really following along, but I'm guessing you are, Cape Coral got it, Estero got it, unincorporated Lee County got it, and so did Bonita Springs. And nobody, if I watched all those meetings, Estero hasn't had their meeting yet, and they were all dumbfounded, and they all provided a
They
timeline.
didn't get it. They lost it.
Right. They went,
Yeah.
every single one of those municipalities didn't go from like a 5 to a 6 or a 7 or 8. They all went from 5 to a 10. So they all went from a 25% discount to a 0. You're getting 0%
This is an
discount.
instance where you don't want to be a 10. You
Yeah.
want to be.
It's
Yeah.
confusing.
Well,
It's
Gary,
It
opposite,
is
but-
confusing.
You're
yeah.
a 10, but in this case, you don't want people to.
But we
be a
have
10.
5,000. I think it's 5,292 people that have a policy with flood insurance. This change would cost over $1.6 million to those 5,200.
Crazy.
Now, you can average it out. Some people average it out, say it's only $309. Well, that's an average, but obviously the dollar amount changes based on the
Right.
house. So
Yeah.
some it's going to cost quite a bit, and some
Yeah.
maybe it will cost a little. So to average it out really isn't fair. It's not a real number.
Do you feel like the town?
Let me ask, do you have any idea how many people are in that program versus that have sought out private flood insurance?
I don't know how many have sought out private insurance, but like I said, it's 5,292, I think is the
There's a
number
lot
of people that are in the National Flood Insurance Program.
So
Yikes.
do you believe that the town did everything possible over the last year? You have a new floodplain manager. You changed.
No, actually,
town-
we have the same
Let me-
floodplain manager. Kristen has been
Oh.
here. Kristen,
Well, what was Poposky's job?
he was community development director. So he came on as a building official, and then he was promoted shortly after our other community
Oh.
development director left after the storm.
Oh, so he had nothing to do with this.
Well, he's not our floodplain manager. He was the building official community. He was the director of the department, but Kristen Schumacher is our
So
floodplain manager.
from the beginning, Kristen is the one that.
Yeah, we haven't
Oh,
changed
okay.
our floodplain manager
All right.
since.
So
since
do
the
you?
storm.
So do you believe that? Well, you changed town managers a couple times.
Right.
I mean, everybody knows that. That everything was done that could have been done.
But
Nothing
I
fell
can tell
through the
you,
cracks.
even when Steve Poposky was here, he and Kristen, they were very close and working very close with Concol, the state floodplain manager. They were very much understanding that they don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize the town and its
Yes.
national flood insurance program. So to answer your question, do I think we've done everything that was asked of us? Absolutely. We've probably gone above and beyond, in my opinion. And for a community and for a county to be held to expectations of making sure that you dot every I and you cross every T to get a list of 105 properties, or 7 of them either don't exist or aren't even under jurisdiction. It seems kind of ironic that an agency that makes you follow such strict guidelines has the ability to mix something
Errors.
that simple up. So we just want our due process. That's all we're looking for, Ed. We're looking for a seat at the table. Give us our due process. Tell us what we did wrong. If we did something wrong and we don't know, we'll be more than happy to fix it. But if you don't know what a problem is, that you can't fix a problem you're unaware of.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is all the information that they requested was sent to them in a timely manner.
Yep.
And so whatever is the holdup has to be something separate from that.
We don't know. Again, I hate to speculate on why the decision was made. Was it a different reason for every municipality or the county? We don't know. That's all we're trying to get.
There's 105 properties that they gave you on the list.
98 were actually in our jurisdiction.
So have those 98 property owners been told that, hey, you're on this list? Do they have?
Well, whether or not they've been specifically told they're on that list, I do know that we have a folder for every single one of those properties, and every single one of them, if they've come into compliance, that's in the folder. If they were out of compliance and they're working to get in compliance, that's in the folder. If there's code enforcement that was needed, that's in the folder. So there is a folder, I've been told, for every single property that has been on that list and has been made contact one way or another to find out where they're at. Now, there are some people, I'm sure, that just say, you're not coming in my property. You're not coming in my house. You're not coming.
What can you do?
That's what we're trying to find out. Is it those one or two or however many we have? Not very many that I think are in that bucket, but is that the reason? We just don't know. We're trying to find out.
So the 98, it's really 98. It's not 105. So
Right.
98, when did the town first get that list from FEMA?
I believe it came in that December 6th letter of 2023.
So there's no way that there was.
I have not seen that letter, but I'm pretty sure that
Okay,
was
but there's no way that any folder was created for any of those properties until December of 23, right? I mean, you wouldn't even know what they're looking at.
Well, the town knew of people that are doing work without.
I mean,
you know people.
I
So
see.
there probably could have been.
Okay.
It's difficult to comment on because if you don't know the properties, it's hard to say. But my guess is they would probably already had a folder started and they happened to be on that list. I mean, the Armored Corps was here. FEMA's inspectors were here. Our code enforcement was out. I mean, people have very short memories. They remember 6 months after the storm, we were really getting beat up over why is code enforcement being so stringent. This is why.
Yeah. And you
why.
said from the beginning that it's coming. It's you don't do work without a permit.
And if we'll just say, for argument's sake, let's say there are 105 properties that they feel are not in compliant. Hold them accountable.
Right.
Don't hold the other
Right.
5,100 people that
That's
have a
what's
policy.
totally wrong.
It's just not fair.
You're right.
It doesn't make sense. It's just not fair. So hopefully we'll get some answers here
Well,
this week.
and to hold if the town is doing and the town staff are doing everything they can, due diligence to bring people into compliance. I mean, what are you going to do? What can you do
FEMA doesn't
to get
care.
people to
It's the town's
follow the
responsibility.
rules? If they don't follow, are you going to kick them out of the town? I mean, what are you going to do?
Well, no, we've been told all along that you have to follow the policies and procedures that you had in place before the storm hit. We've done that.
Okay.
So if you find someone that has a violation, you start the code enforcement process. You start a folder on them. It has to go from the magistrate. It has to go through all that due process
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
They have
Right.
their right to due
That's true.
process. So they have to go through that. And if they find the magistrate finds that they owe fines, then you get fines. Then you can start going into the foreclosure and all that kind of stuff if they don't pay it or come into compliance. At the end of the day, it's just about coming into compliance. Some people just feel that they're above the law and they're going to do what they want to do. And eventually they get, you're going to get caught. It's not a matter of if, you're going to get caught.
Is it all resident?
So I just want to ask, so in those cases where you've been, following up, all of that was sent to FEMA, like,
It's my
okay, they're
understanding,
not
yeah.
in compliance, but this is what we've done to kind of bring them into
That's my
compliance.
understanding is
Okay.
any information that has been requested of us or anything that was on a list, we've provided them with where we are in the process, if there's been a resolution, here's why it's been a resolution.
So
And the majority of those 98 properties were in compliance. They had permits. They got
Yeah.
permits
well,
issued.
51 of them, I think, is what Andy
I don't
said.
remember
on-
the exact number,
last
but
week.
it was quite a bit of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
More than half.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows too, if you're not paying attention to the detail, Fort Myers Beach, actually it's on one of our sheets here. There are two things. It said that 105 properties, but it also said the percentage of work that was done without a permit on Fort Myers Beach was 21%, the lowest percentage out of every, and you guys got hit the hardest. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
The lowest percentage when you compare it to Bonita and Cape Coral and Fort Myers, unincorporated Lee County and Estero. Estero was 58%, and they haven't even met yet. And so for Fort Myers Beach to get hit as hard as it was and be the lowest percentage.
I know, but they don't do it like that. It's you're either in or you're out. It's not based on a percentage.
Saying, you were trying. People were trying.
Yeah.
Residents were trying to follow. And the permitting process at the beginning of the aftermath of the storm was chaos.
Well, people forget it's been, 18 months, whatever. Right after the storm, they were working with 3 laptops that they happened to take home with them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, those would have been gone too. They had no place to operate. They're working out of makeshift trailers with no air conditioning.
Right.
Some were working out of toilet trailers, believe it or not, back at the beginning. So to be able to work through that, yes, you're going to have to overcome some hurdles, and the amount of influx of permits that were coming so fast, whether it be demo, whatever it was overwhelming for the staff.
It just seems like FEMA just put a hard stop on everything last week for no reason. That's the way, if you believe Lee County and Fort Myers Beach and Estero and Cape Coral and Bonita, it just seems like they just threw their hands up and said, screw you people in Florida.
Again, we don't know, but we do. I can tell you the collaboration between those that are on that list has been outstanding over the last week and a half. They're always talking. The managers are always talking with Dave Harner. If you hear anything, let us know. If you find out what you did wrong, please let us know. So I mean, they're all trying to figure out
what Sanibel did right.
So
the
first thing I do is I text Holly Smith at Sanibel. I said, "Hey, what the hell's going on over there? Why is Sanibel on the nice list and everyone else on the naughty list?" And I sent a text to Kevin Anderson, the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, Fort Myers. And they don't want any attention. Don't bring the bad FEMA people over and don't show leave us alone.
Well,
which I get.
Right.
Well, they've had the review. Do you think that, given that everything has been supplied as information, as far as you're concerned, as far as the staff, do you think there's just some weird miscommunication?
Well, I look back at what happened last Valentine's Day when we got that letter that said you can no longer use Matt Caldwell's letter to rebuild your property. And it caused the same stir that we're dealing with now. At the time, Fort Myers Beach, I remember talking with Keith at the time, and I said, everybody else is kind of going to be quiet on this. I feel we need to get out in front of it because we were under the gun so much of people complaining about permitting. Right. I didn't want this to be another, look what Fort Myers Beach thing did.
Remember.
So we against everybody's else's direction, we just went out and said, listen, we received this letter and we don't agree with it. And then it kind of went to where it went. What ended up coming out of that is that the people from Atlanta just didn't understand Florida law. They didn't understand that what Matt Caldwell was doing was 100% legal and 100% within his jurisdiction or within his judgment to be able to do. We all know what happened. Eventually, they didn't say they did something wrong, but they said you can continue to go ahead and do that. And my hope is that this is that same scenario, that someone maybe hit the panic button before they should have, and it's caused a stir. But until we find out some answers, we really don't know. And I don't want to bash all of FEMA. I mean, they've done a lot of good things to help us in getting us money right away. It's not a bash FEMA thing. It's a just give us some explanation. Who's making decisions before you?
Come on.
I just don't get it.
I'll never forget what Chauncey Goss said when he was sitting in they were testifying in front of these FEMA people that came to town. And he said there were plenty of boots on the ground, but there were never any brains on the ground. Every time FEMA came down and came on the show, we would try to get the guy on the show 2 weeks later, but he was already recycled into a different town. Another person came down. Another person came down. It's not like it wasn't like Kevin Guthrie. Like you knew when you wanted shit done in the state, you got Kevin Guthrie.
Yeah, I believe how Chauncey put it, and I certainly don't want to put words in his mouth, but I was there sitting right behind them when they were talking to them. And essentially his analogy was right. It's the same thing we've been saying. There were a lot of soldiers on the ground, but there were no generals. There were a lot of people that were here to do the work and help, but no decision makers. There was no one here saying, yes, no, they can do that. They can't do that. It was always send it up to the chain and we'll get back to you. And then by the time you would finally get a rapport with the people, 2 or 3 weeks into the process,
they changed.
They'd switch them all out and you'd start all over again. It would be the same. Well, let me gather the information. Well, we've already given you the information to the last 3 groups that were here.
It's a broken process. It hasn't fixed. Katrina was a nightmare. It still hasn't been fixed since Katrina. I mean, when was that? The last Ollie Frazier fight was when Katrina came through town, and not our town, but Louisiana. Maybe not that long ago. But I mean, and I don't want to get into this too much because you guys know I don't like to get into the national politics, but sometimes you wonder, like even Kevin Ruane said at the county meeting last week, if there was a different administration, a Republican administration, perhaps they wouldn't have done this to us. I wonder sometimes if they hate Florida, that like the national.
You're like Mr. Conspiracy
I'm trying to
theory.
stay away from the Biden Trump thing because I never want to get into that. But you have to wonder about that if that's coming down
You
from the
can
top.
always wonder, and maybe it has something to do with it. Maybe it doesn't. I don't.
Somebody has a
Quite
question.
honestly, that's not my concern. My concern
Listen,
is
you guys
getting
can
that
ask questions
25%
in the
discount
audience
back.
too. You can ask a question
Yes.
if you want, but it
Which-
has to be on the mic so
Which
people
I
on
just
Facebook
want to
can hear it.
say, if it stands, if the decision stands, it's like 3 years before it can be redone. Is
Yeah,
that
I think
correct?
it would take effect October 1st of this year, and then you couldn't get back into the program until 2026. Go ahead.
Mayor.
Hi.
My name is Christy Thornton.
Hi, Christy.
I actually came to a council meeting a few weeks back for Trip and Rides, but this feels very politically motivated to me and targeted to Fort Myers Beach and Cape Coral. And I don't know if you don't want to say that or if I'm not supposed to say that.
You
But-
can
You're
say
welcome to say
whatever
whatever
you
you
want.
like, yeah.
Just
But
keep
it's
the microphone
Yeah.
close, though. There
It
you go.
certainly feels targeted to Fort Myers Beach, and I'm new to this area. I don't understand the politics here, but to me, it feels very targeted. And I think somebody really needs to look at that because FEMA is a little dirty too.
Well, I will tell you, we've had conversations with all of our federal delegation members. They've written a letter. They wrote a letter to FEMA saying we want answers, essentially. So they're definitely on our side. They're helping us. But again, they're as much of a loss as we are. We don't understand the decision. We don't understand what made the decision, who made the decision. Until we have those answers, we really can't. It's hard to say. Was it politically motivated? Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. I think once we get some answers, we'll be able to answer that question.
I understand. I just keep it on your radar. That's all I'm saying.
Well, thank you
Yes.
for the question.
Kim, you got a minute?
I know. Well, so have you heard that there is an opportunity for some review?
Yeah, I've heard rumblings I haven't gotten
We've
any
heard
official.
rumblings.
I've heard-
Yeah. Nothing official.
I haven't gotten. No one's told me anything official yet. I've heard that I saw John Lai say
yeah.
on your show yesterday that there was a 30-day stay on that decision.
I was like
I've heard that
Googling
same-
and I couldn't find
I've
anything
heard that
on
same
that.
thing, but no one has officially told me that. I've heard that we might have a chance to at least have a call with FEMA again this week. So nothing is set in stone. There's really been, if there was information I could tell you, I would tell you, but we really just don't know anything yet.
And again, they've given you no reason as to why. Now, I just wanted to ask. So, documentation had to be submitted. This is the timeline that you guys put out, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the documentation had to be submitted by the 12th, and then there was a little hiccup with whose access. Who didn't have access to the documentation? Was it FEMA?
I don't know. I don't know if it was us sending it back to them and they couldn't get access to it, or we couldn't get access to their information. There was, I know, there was a couple municipalities that asked for an extension to get them the information that they needed, or they were requesting, which I believe the town applied for and some other ones applied for as well. So I don't know what specifically that is as far as whether it was our end that couldn't get access to something or their.
It looks like they on the other end couldn't get access,
get
and then
access,
that got worked out. So that was Friday the 12th, and then that all got worked out a few days later on the 17th.
Yeah.
You think that they couldn't possibly hold?
I hate to say it, but we don't know. We really don't know. We would just be speculating. You really know as much as we know at this point. And that's the honest truth.
So yesterday on the show at Margaritaville, and if anybody, is that our food? Oh, you have a question? Come on, yes. I'll hold on to my question until we love audience participation,
Yeah,
especially when you have to go to the restroom.
Hi, I'm Ellen
morning.
from
It is morning,
Hibiscus previously. Will be again
Yes.
someday.
There's a tornado that went through Hibiscus. I don't know if you know that, but I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a tornado that took out those houses.
So the 105 or 98, do you have a clear picture of, was that like a sampling or is that from everything?
That's a good question. I wish I could answer it. We don't know. We don't know why it was these specific properties. If there are more that we aren't aware of, if this was the only 105. I mean, we know there were other. The 105 was specifically about the substantially damaged properties, not necessarily all the work without a permit stuff. I mean, if someone did a fence without a permit, that's probably not in this 105, I'm assuming. But this list was was based off of substantially damaged properties that the Army Corps of Engineers may or may not have determined that it was a substantially damaged property that had work done to it.
But Dan, if you were to make a guess, there was more than 105 properties that did work without a permit.
Well, I mean, of the 3,500 plus structures
Shut
we had,
your
every
mouth.
single one of them had damage. So
Yeah.
if you
Thank
had
you.
damage, we know
Ellen.
that you're supposed to have a permit to build it back.
Yeah.
So that goes back to that. It's not a matter of if you're going to get caught. It's when.
And so the list, did a list have to come from the town to FEMA, kind of listing the substantially damaged homes?
They were all working together. They were the
What do
Army Corps of Engineer, FEMA, as well as.
Well, why
state
the
and
Army
also-
Corps of Engineers?
Wait,
I mean,
can you just let him just answer? So
That would be a good question for probably Kristen. She would be able to answer
Okay.
that.
Okay.
But I know that
So
the Army
I didn't
Corps
mean
of
to put you
Engineer-
on the spot.
No, I know the Army Corps. I've seen the communications out there on social media. Well, they use the Army Corps. Why didn't the town use it? Well, Army Corps worked with every single municipality in Lee County. So it wasn't that we didn't use the Army Corps of Engineer to help. find
No.
this stuff.
I just was wondering if it was the responsibility of the town to submit a list to FEMA of the substantially damaged homes or not.
Well, I know that we kept a list. Whether or not Kristen was required to send that in, I don't know that answer. But I know that we went around with everybody, and anyone that had to build had to, as you guys know, had to submit a structure for
Make
a
sure the
letter
house
to make
was
sure the house is
structurally
structurally sound, right? And then you had to go through the 50% rule
Yeah.
to find out if you were 51%, then you were
Yeah.
substantially damaged and you couldn't build back.
So both you specifically and Dave Harner last week said that I think the county got butthurt because there was reports out there that said they didn't provide enough information to FEMA. So Dave Harner went through the timeline of information so that everybody knew, because FEMA was saying we didn't get enough information back, and that's how the media reported it. And then you
Well,
said
that's just
last
it.
week there was a bunch of misinformation on social media, but you weren't specific. So I would appreciate it if you were specific right now.
Well, a lot of it was about, I'm not going to speak for Dave Harner, but yeah, we
No,
felt the
no,
same
what you
frustration
said.
that they were talking about the 3 letters. Well, the 3 letters I think they were referring to were the letters from February of last year.
Yeah.
Not specifically about this. So I think Dave did a great job of laying out the timeline of when they received the letters.
No. I don't mean about
February,
Dave.
June, and then
No,
October,
you said
November.
at the town council meeting that there was misinformation on social media. Was it our page?
Well, there was comments on a lot of
Oh,
places,
comments.
but
But
most of it
nothing
was,
I did.
Well, most of it was people.
I just want to know if I did something wrong.
No, it's people.
I try to stay on top of this. Like,
You love to do wrong
You can't
things.
get any information from FEMA.
Well,
I can't get
I
any
think-
information from FEMA.
Social media is great, but it's also a pain in the butt at the same time. It's an avenue for people to just start a coconut telegraph that shouldn't be started.
I
And-
don't look at it that way. I mean, come on.
Well,
We
they-
caught
they-
that
they-
lady in the Jeep because of our page.
Oh,
That
well,
lady got
that's a good
okay.
part of it, right? But then there's also the bad part where you put something out and then
It's the
you
telephone
or someone
game
else
where
and
somebody
or a
says
news
something
outlet puts
and
something out, and then it's all of a sudden, well, they obviously didn't do something that Sanibel did, or they didn't obviously do something right that you don't
Right.
know that.
People
we
have
don't know
rights.
that.
I hear what you're saying. People have rights to
But
their
they
opinion,
have
and
the right to
sometimes
their
they're wrong.
opinion, but sometimes
okay.
opinions turn into
Gotcha.
fact or false
Because if
facts.
I put something out there that was wrong, you would just call me and tell me. I would think. I mean, we've known each other for 1,000 years.
yeah, if I
right?
feel that you did something wrong or you were putting
Right.
out misinformation, I would tell you
Okay,
that.
thank you.
How
'Cause
come
you
you
said
don't
it.
listen to me when I ask you to
Because
take
you're
stuff
because you
down?
don't want me to put anything out. That's the thing. I've never be able to make a post if it wasn't for you.
No, you
If
just
I listened
sometimes
to
you're
you,
mean.
for crying out loud. I was thinking, here's what I was thinking. I was thinking about putting a big sign and standing out in front of the Kia Stereo parking lot. And that just said, this is an illegal parking lot. Park at Norm's.
I was like,
parking.
nope.
And she had a glass of wine, so she almost approved that. I mean,
I
that
did
would have
not.
been
There's
like,
no way.
because that guy would have
So note to self, you need to get her 2 glasses of wine.
Right. Because there's no doubt that guy would have came out and started a fight with me if I was standing on the sidewalk, because he's crazy. The guy's crazy.
I'm definitely not a psychiatrist, but
But I play one on
But I
Sundays.
play one on Sundays.
So, yeah. So I don't want to side trip, but that is a major story. Like, the town was foreclosing on his property, and he wrote a $188,000 check. So the town, I think, took him out of foreclosure or stopped the
Well,
process of that.
he paid the lien.
Okay.
He paid the lien.
And then he just started breaking the rules again. And now
which code enforcement
Yeah.
started again. So,
but he got a 30-day. So now he gets a 30-day free pass, a get out of jail free card. because that's the process, the normal process. Then it'll go to the magistrate, and it'll be like, okay, so what is it? $1,000?
Well, no,
He's
it gets
gonna write
worse.
the
I
check
mean, it
again.
definitely gets worse. I think with a magistrate and something like that, the first time around, it's like $250 a day. Repeat offenders, it could go up to $500 a day. So,
I
mean,
read that. Yeah.
It can go up fairly quickly. So it's not going to be a cheap thing. And there's a process you can go through to be compliant. You just got to get the special exception or come through and try for it.
my
at least.
God.
Do you think though that like the way it's set up, that's loophole? I mean, I don't know. That's really a loophole.
It
but
says cost of
how
doing
do you-
business.
How do
Yeah.
you mitigate that from happening? How do you get that to stop happening?
Well, I think that's a legal question. I don't know that there's any way that you can stop that legally from happening.
Do you raise
can't
the
pick your neighbor.
fines?
You can't pick. You
Right.
can't pick who buys properties. You can't pick.
Nobody.
So who sets the fine? The magistrate?
Yeah.
The magistrate
your-
no, the magistrate sets the fine.
Yeah.
The code compliance officers go out, let them know that they and advertise that they're in violation of code.
So the
So
code.
they
And they have
have to
30
pay-
days to come back into compliance. If not, then it goes to the magistrate, and the magistrate can make the ruling on the fines that start accruing from
So-
that.
Okay, well, let me I just
okay,
want to
go ahead.
clarify. So the magistrate then, after 30 days, doesn't have to say it's 250 or 500. That person could be like,
No,
it's
there-
5,000
No,
a day.
no, there's
I
something
think
in the
there's-
ordinance.
I think there's
Okay,
state, well,
so
state
it
statute,
is-
I think, sets things
Okay.
in there too. But again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't.
So,
but-
so code enforcement goes out and they put a sign up that says you're in violation of something, and he rips the fine. He rips the signs down. So there's no sign there. So I think the attorney, your attorney, says put the sign up, but take a picture of it because he's going to rip it down again. And listen, I don't begrudge people for making money, but the other parking lots on the island followed the rules. I know we've been talking about this for, it seems like forever. And this guy doesn't want to follow the rules. He doesn't want to go get a special exception, which like $50 to get it. I mean, it's ridiculous what the guy's doing. It's just bizarro.
Yeah, I can't speak
I
as to
know.
why he's
I
choosing
know.
not to do
I
what
know.
he's doing, but
Did we not answer your question? Or are you getting angry with us? I don't want you to be angry. You're throwing your hands up over there like we
Yeah.
didn't answer your question. Well, you can re-ask it or ask another question. Unless you're related to the parking lot Nazi. I mean, guy.
With all due respect.
Yeah.
While we rebuild this beach,
Mhm.
we really need to help small businesses recover and the residents alike. And I think we have really big problems to work on and pick bones and pick fights over.
it's not picking fights. It's about doing what's right or wrong. He is choosing, and he had chosen in the past to do something that other people that are operating the same business have gone
Yeah.
through and doing it the right way. So by not enforcing what he's doing, you're punishing the people that have done it the right way.
I
So
do.
I understand what you're saying, and it's
Yeah.
not about picking fights. It's about making people into compliance so that everybody's following the same rules. And if you're choosing not to follow the same rules as everyone else, then you need to pay the consequences.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. But I'm not from this beach. I'm not from Florida. I come here and I'm looking at this place as a travesty waiting to happen until somebody gets a
What do you
hold
mean by
on
that? Travesty waiting to
the
happen.
traffic, the infrastructure, the sidewalks that you trip over, the lack of lights
There's
at
always
night,
been traffic,
the no
though.
the no crosswalk across the Estero Boulevard is dangerous. And I'm looking at this going, instead of handcuffing people with fines and
Who
more
are they
rules,
handcuffing? Who are they handcuffing?
like let businesses flourish here.
What business
let
is not
residents
flourishing?
rebuild.
What businesses aren't flourishing? They're all flourishing right now.
Anyone
All of
that,
them.
anyone that has chosen to open their business back up, we've worked with them very, very diligently to help them as best we can. But again, use Wahoo Willie's. They had to go through certain things to be able to open back up. Would it be fair to them if we let another business that does the same thing right next door not have to follow the same rules that they had to open up, but let them just keep doing what they're doing? It's not fair to the people that are doing it correctly.
I absolutely 100% agree. I just feel like before we lose tourism here, somebody really needs to focus on the huge problems that are here, like the traffic.
There's
And the
always been
parking.
traffic, but there's always been traffic. People always come to this beach, and there isn't even a pier, and they're still coming to the beach.
Okay. Outsider looking in. It's just my opinion. It's my 2 cents. I just feel like let business reign here. Let things open up.
Yeah, for sure.
Take the handcuffs
Open 'em up.
cuffs off of people.
There's
and
no
let
handcuffs
them-
on people, though.
Let
That's
them be free here
Okay.
and let them flourish in business and let this place thrive
Thank
like
you.
it should.
I think the thing is that there
He's
are
got handcuffs on, but Go
I
ahead.
think there are bigger issues that people see from the outside looking in, like the lights and all of that stuff.
But I don't think
But
it's
to
fair
give
to
some
say people have
context-
handcuffs on. Nobody who has got handcuffs on, Dan.
But-
Take them
I
off.
don't know. Well,
Unlock the handcuffs. I don't.
But the context for the history is
All right.
what
Let's talk about business. On Tuesday at the LPA meeting, the Moss Marina thing is going to come up. It's the first major project that's coming in front of the LPA. Staff has recommended denial of the zoning change. So that'll be what we see. That'll be the first test of what might be built or might not be built. But the whale is going to be built. They're breaking ground on May 17th. So I mean, you can only build as fast as you can build with everything, that you have to go through the normal process of permitting and getting contractors and buying the supplies and things like that. So, I mean, I wish more businesses were open, but there's no
buildings
building.
can't be built in a day.
That's the biggest problem.
The
is
ones
it
that are
takes
open
forever.
have been able to rebuild what they have and open up. So new stuff coming out of the ground is just going to take a little bit of time.
right.
Look at the whale. I mean, it's going to take what they say 18 months to build.
When he said December, I was like, wow, December.
Of
2025. I was
yeah.
like 2024. Wow.
Yeah, that would be pretty fast.
So Dan, before we let you roll, I heard John Lai yesterday said there's a 30-day stay.
he talked about it while you were in the bathroom.
Never mind. I didn't mean to bring it up again. So did we miss anything?
Is there anything else that you want to say about the FEMA thing or lights or
No
all the
lights
stuff?
this weekend. No lights.
No, we
One weekend without lights.
With the FEMA thing, I can tell you that everyone is working very, very hard to try to get answers and get this taken care of. So there's one less thing people have to worry about. People are worrying about enough things to have to worry about this as well. But they need to know that the town is working very hard on their behalf to make sure that we get that discount back, because we worked very hard for it and we've followed all the rules that we've been told we have to follow to maintain it. So until we can get an explanation, we feel that the residents are entitled to that discount that they've earned. So,
and as far as to the comment before about the sidewalks and the crosswalks, that is not the town.
Only on the
it's
north
within
end.
if like Old San Carlos is the town's road, right?
But
it's
Estero
fine.
Boulevard is
Yeah, if there's issues with this, but we've identified problems. We've sent it up through Commissioner Sandelli, and things are
right.
getting
That's a
taken care of.
county thing. Yeah.
It's in, we talk about the signs. You're starting to see some crosswalk signs go up. You're starting to see things get fixed. In a perfect world, if money wasn't an issue,
Mm-hmm.
things would get fixed a lot faster. I think you heard Commissioner Hammond say it in the meeting on Tuesday. You can't just outlay all that money. You have to know that you're going to get reimbursed for the things that you've told you've been reimbursed for, and to just go out and do something before it gets obligated. And I know I've said it many, many times.
Right.
You're spending money that you potentially don't have, and you won't get recouped. So it's not a matter of want, and it's not a matter of will to get these things done. It's economics.
Right.
All right. I know you don't have, this is more of an Adderhold thing, but to say there's no update on Santini Plaza that you know of that you can share.
No, I've heard some rumblings that there's been some leases signed, or going to be some leases
Sweet.
signed, but I don't know any specific ones. I've heard as soon as October, someone
Great.
could be open in there. So
That'd be nice.
I mean, we'd love to see the South End Santini, as Vice Mayor has said all along, and everyone has said all along, that's very vital to our recovery. It's vital to our traffic. It's vital to everything that we do here on a daily basis. So you had the owner on. I thought he did a great job
Yeah.
of explaining things, and money is tight for everybody.
And he's
That's
losing
the-
money every day.
Well,
He wants to be open.
That I've said it before, and I'll say it again. That storm didn't care how big your checkbook was. It affected everybody the same, whether you had $1 or whether you had $1 million. It was just bigger
Yeah.
things you had to fix. So we're all feeling the pain. I don't know that anybody could sit on your show and honestly say my savings account is better than it was
I know.
Right.
18 months ago.
Whenever I talk to a condo, I did a walk around at a condo last week, and it's like the assessments are it's just a money suck.
Ugh.
The assessments that they have to all go through.
Yeah,
And the buildings are closed. They can't, I don't want to get into it, but it's just, I mean, everybody's going through, even the library can't open because they can't get an elevator. It's ridiculous.
But we're getting through it. There was a gentleman that was speaking to you before the show from Michigan. I didn't remember his name, but he came up and he leaned on somebody. He said something that was probably the nicest compliment I think I've received in a long time. He said, "We're only rebuilding because you give us hope." And when he said
nice.
he was referring to the town.
Town. Right.
Yeah.
That
Right.
you guys are giving us hope, and that's why we're rebuilding. So I think that was a very good compliment. I think that goes to what we've tried to do since the day of the storm, is work with people, get people back in their homes and their businesses. And
Yeah.
we'll continue that same mission for as long as we've got a voice.
And now they get a big kind of breather with the traffic kind of will reduce because season is kind of over. And
there's still
but
some
there's still
traffic out there.
construction work out there.
Still construction work, still busy in the
I
morning.
did want to say a big thank you to the mayor and Frankie and Andy for the yellow buckets. The yellow buckets are out there.
Thank you to you and
Connecticut.
your
Yes.
followers. You guys are the ones that did it.
There was
Public work.
and
Don't
there
forget
was-
public works.
and
They're the ones
Public
that went
Works.
up.
Yep.
And I learned a new word. There's a new word on the sign that says Demetrius or something like that. I don't even know what the hell it is. I think it means debris in
Who read it
French
to
or
you?
something. I was looking at the sign. I'm like, I don't even know what that word means. But if you pick it up, put it in the bucket, and then throw it in the trash. And I sent a thank you. And I never do this. And I'm going to say this on the show, but I never send a guy a text that says I love you. But I said I love you, Frankie. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. Frankie doesn't need a bigger head. Come on.
Yeah.
If he's watching, he's
Well,
probably.
hello.
Now it's our job. It's our job to make sure the buckets get used and they don't get lost and they don't, wind up, in some pelican's beak or something like that.
Well, they're
Yeah,
not.
that's
Yeah.
true.
I was on the
So-
beach today. It
does look
looked
great.
good. It really looked good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
really going
water
to town
looked
with getting
good
sand
and-
out there, and a year from now, hopefully everything will be done and it'll be
It's gonna
back
be
to
crazy. You think people are coming to the beach now? When that beach renourishment is done next year, it's going to be sick. It's going to
Yeah.
be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I've told you this. But the first thing that was asked of me is when I was able to sit
Get
in
the
that trailer.
beach open.
They
Yeah.
asked me, what is it? Get the beach open. If you get the beach open, it'll provide relief for people that are busting their butt
Yeah.
every day. They can still walk out there safely and be able to watch that sunset and recharge your battery and start again the next day. And it hasn't changed. As long as that cliche, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Well, if you keep it clean and you keep it nice, people are going to come
Yeah.
and they're going to use it.
It's really
Yep.
nice behind the Hotka house. I just like putting my chair out and sitting behind their house.
He's going to
Holy
be floating
crap.
in a pink
They got a
flamingo in
way
your
big
pool
beach
one
back
day.
behind their house there. Yeah. So thank you so much, Dan,
Yeah,
for
thanks
coming
for
on.
having me.
Big hand for the mayor of Fort Myers Beach. Oh my gosh. Before I read this ad, dear, you want to know how good you have it on Fort Myers Beach? I watched the Bonita Springs Town Council meeting. It was painful. That mayor in Bonita Springs is crackpot. I mean, I watched him berate the person sitting right next to him on the council. I was like, I sent a message to Jesse, who I know on the council in Bonita. I was like, what's going on with this mayor? He was like yelling at the lady next to him. If it was her, she would have just went like this, whacked him right and broke his friggin' nose. I mean, it was crazy so this town council acts completely appropriately and they're so nice to each other and everything is going great, dear. Thank you so much to our sponsors, the Bonita Springs mayor. A little bit on the crazy side.
The Cape Coral mayor too. He got quoted a lot about the
Yeah,
billing
but-
thing.
But he wasn't berating anybody on the
No,
town
no,
council.
no,
Very
no,
professional in Cape Coral. So thank you very much, Drew. Appreciate the Lions Club. Alex King,
Why
ladies
didn't
and
you wear
gentlemen.
your shrimp hat today?
I totally forgot they were coming on. Alex King is one of our sponsors. Everybody knows Alex King. If you need to sell your property or want to purchase property, you want to call Alex King. His phone number is 239-849-3663. Yes, it's Detrius. D-E. I don't even know what that means, Chris. What does Detrius mean? Somebody Google that. Does that mean debris? It means debris, right? Is that what you sent to me? I bet you thought I lost my place, but I didn't. Alex King is a sponsor of the show, and you can give him a call. Phone number 239-849-3663. And one of our newest sponsors, of course, Marketing 101 Advertising. Marketing 101 Advertising delivers powerful, targeted marketing campaigns that work because you don't want your message out there and nobody's paying any attention to it. If your message sucks, nobody will care. So you have to have a good message. And to help you get that message out there for your business or your podcast or whatever you're doing, maybe you're selling weed out of a truck in Times Square. You got to get your message out, whatever it is. It's not real weed. It's fake weed. Although if you looked at the truck, they look like doobies to me. When I got up close to that truck yesterday and I took a picture of it, the aliens are smoking doobies. Apparently, all the people from outer space, they just smoke doobies. And I'm sure that the Marketing 101 folks had nothing to do with that truck because it's false advertising. You can't go in that truck and buy doobies. I mean, can you, Dan? Have you ever tried to do that? Probably not. They wouldn't allow that in Times Square. So if you're looking for serious, it's diet weed. What does that mean? Diet weed. And I want to thank Jason Garrison, too, in Sanibel, because Jason started the idea with the buckets. It was his idea, and we just followed through with it. All right, give Marketing 101 a call. 216-496-4888. 216-496-4888. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next guest is going to tell you how to put more money in your pocket. That's right. Because the CBDGBR, FIJK, LMNOP funds are out there. And our next guest, Rebecca Link, just going to tell you how to apply for it. Hey, big hand for Rebecca. Very nice. Thank you. You brought your foreign friends with you.
I like to refer to that as ACDC.
ACDC.
CBDGDR.
I know.
I know.
Can
Who
never.
can remember that?
I remember.
So it's the Community Development Block Grant.
/ disaster
To relief.
recovery.
Okay.
When
Very
Keith
good.
Wilkins, I think it was Keith, who first used those abbreviations. He said that's going to be a big deal. Back at the beginning of the Days of the Storm, I'm like, I have no idea what
It's
you're talking
complicated.
about. But we
It's
learned a lot
complicated.
since then.
We have
Yeah.
learned a lot, and it is a big deal because
So-
Lee County got like
1.2
over
billion.
$1 billion.
So before we get into the CBDGR, I just want everybody to know that Rebecca was dropped off in a
Oh, Ed.
Porsche.
She
Somehow,
asked you not to bring
She
that
had
up.
a personal driver that dropped her
How
off
do
in
you
a
know
Porsche.
it wasn't like a lift?
I think it was her
or-
husband.
It was a lift.
It was.
It was
No,
lift.
you can get luxury lifts.
I don't think that's true. I think you just
Kim,
made that up.
I'm counting on you. here.
So,
Dear,
How-
moving on.
how did you come across a Porsche?
Here, this is all I can do. That is
Thank you.
my only
Thank you.
relief
How
for
would
you and
let's
everybody
talk
else.
about CDBGD, ACDC.
Yes, let's
Hey,
talk
we
about
were going
that.
to the Guess Who concert last night. We were having dinner before the concert, only to get a text that it was canceled
Oh,
Really?
no.
The
Yeah.
Guess Who?
because the band members are suing each other, so they canceled it.
Where was that going to be?
At Barbara Mann.
The Guess
Wow.
Who? Can anyone in the audience name one song by the Guess Who? Yeah,
These eyes.
that's the only song anybody would ever know
No,
from the
what's it-
Guess Who.
American Woman.
Oh, that's their number one song
Yeah.
right there. Now, they're from like the 60s. They're
Yeah, well,
really
we're
old.
Ed.
And then
Some
why,
of us are old.
why are they suing each other? What happened?
You know, who has the name of the band? Who has the rights to the music?
Did you get your ticket money back? Your refund?
Apparently, it's coming back, but
I
they
see.
had a show last
'Cause you gotta make a Porsche payment
canceled
soon.
the next one. They're like,
What? So, like from Friday to when you went, they just
Friday
That's
night
not-
each
show went
other.
on, and then
Must have
they
been
got
Friday
an
night.
injunction, and Saturday, yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
Friday
So they
night
played
must have
Friday
been like
and then
a
they hate
great
each other
show,
by
and then they were like, "Hey, this thing's got some legs. I'm suing
Wow. What
everybody."
Yeah,
was the
but
last-
not all of the original people are in the band.
Of course,
so
because
you know
they're
how it
dead.
goes.
Because they're dead.
No, because they're suing
I see.
to stop the other ones.
What was the last rock concert that you've gone to?
Rock concert.
Yeah, what was the last concert?
It would have been Fort Rock out at
Nah, I'm not
stadium.
talking about that. I mean a real concert, one band
was a
concert.
real concert.
One band concert.
Oh, I don't know.
What
it,
is
it would have been the country person that we
Oh,
went to
Toby
see.
Keith. Yeah, we
No,
went
no,
to
no,
see
no,
Toby
no.
Keith. Oh, he's since passed
No.
away.
The other guy.
Why'd you
with
have to
the
bring
hat
Toby
and the-
Keith up?
No,
Every-
the one
Every weekend when I'm
the one
listening.
with 5 kids
Yeah.
that left his wife. That one.
Oh, Zach Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every weekend when we're listening to Radio Margaritaville, I say to her, I can't believe Jimmy Buffett's dead.
Yeah, I know.
I just can't believe he's not around
I
anymore.
know,
It's
I know.
disturbing. And then Toby Keith dies.
I know.
I mean, geez, what a Debbie Downer.
It is.
Well,
a
let's
downer.
talk about something up, like the Lee Cares Hurricane Ian Housing Recovery Program.
Yes. Okay. So,
Give us the
one of
broad
the things
overview.
that shocked me.
Can
is
we at
that,
least tell people who have no idea what you're doing for the town? Tell them what you're doing.
So, my lovely husband and I, we
The one that drives the Porsche.
the one that rented the Porsche to bring me here because this is a really important event.
True.
So anyway, we help counties with federal government funds. They're very complicated. I'm not sure if you realized how complicated they can be, and they are not forgiving. They don't, you can't say in an audit, like one of our customers once said, we're trying really hard.
They don't seem to
Well, they don't.
appreciate
They
that.
don't. Yeah, that doesn't work. So they're like, you know the rules, you follow the rules, we give you the money. what happens a lot of times is we give you the money because we know you're going to follow the rules, then you don't. And the most horrific thing is when they claw back the money that you never had in the first place, but now you've got to give it back. So our whole business is helping people stay compliant, knowing the rules before time. So anyway, it's just what we do. It's kind of what we do. So we have a hurricane here, and I think, hey, this is in my wheelhouse, understanding this stuff. We're not looking for a job. We don't want this beach to be a customer, but I want to use the knowledge and experience that we've gained over the last 25 years to help my town, period.
Right.
So I find ways to help and help make these processes simpler.
Well, what's crazy about your background and living on the island is that the town had to find somebody to be like a liaison that wasn't like an elected representative.
Absolutely.
And to have you is lucky to be able to find somebody that understands all that crap.
Okay, so being a community-minded person, when the hurricane hit and the Let's Go Fort Myers Beach people put together that first meeting, I show up. I'm like, maybe there's something in my skill set I can do to help. So I started helping. I was the head of that peer committee or permit committee, not the peer, the permits. And we were having trouble getting off the ground. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go out and I'm just going to help as many people as I can understand the permit process because it's very complicated. So I have been helping people get permits. And I learned how to do it. I got my permit in less than a week. It's, again, knowing what they're looking for. Because you can't say it's close enough. So one thing leads to the next. Then I worked with John McCain on that group. Or John McLean. You know John
John
McLean,
McClain.
right?
John McCain is...
Yeah, that's a different guy. John McLean.
He's not alive anymore.
So he was at a town council meeting when this issue came up about CDBG. And the mayor and the different people were talking about, we need somebody to be on the advisory committee to audit the evaluation or evaluate the applications that came in. And John McLean caught them at a break and said, hey, Rebecca does this for a living. Maybe let's nominate her. So thanks to John, I got nominated.
So tell people what the program is, like what you're auditing and what it entails.
So I wouldn't be able to talk about this stuff, except I'm not on the committee to evaluate these loans. I'm on a totally different committee about planning and infrastructure for the town.
So,
but this is about housing, so I can talk all day about it.
Well, tell us about housing.
Yeah. Okay, so Lee Cares has a program, and one of the things, because of working on the CDBG, I found that we have over 6,000 residents on Fort Myers Beach. This housing program is for low to middle income, and I learned that there are over 2,200 people in our zip code that are eligible for this.
Come on.
I'm telling you.
Okay, so my impression of the CBDGR money was that there's no chance anyone on Fort Myers Beach is getting a penny from that money. Is that wrong?
So no, I disagree.
Okay,
I disagree.
good.
But that is why so many people don't get federal money. It's complicated. It's hard. So I'm saying I have pulled that thing apart. I have simplified it. And I put it in a document if you want to put it on your website.
Yes,
that you can read through it and go, yep, that's
so
for me. Nope.
You
out.
think about 2,200 people might
I'm
be
saying
eligible.
That's what the numbers state.
Okay, so how much money can they get?
Okay, so they can get, what did I put there? $250,000 that comes for repairing your home.
Nice.
Each. Reconstruction. No, 250 is the cap.
For the entire island?
No, per
For
person.
okay, so
250,000
Okay.
each. If
All right.
you meet
So
the
do they have to
income
give it back?
requirements.
They have to give the money
No,
back?
they don't have
It's
to give the money
tax-free
back.
money?
It is.
Wow.
It is. 450,000 is the cap to raise your house.
Yeah.
Now, if you were eligible, would you want to at least make an application and
Yeah.
see?
Yes.
I would.
Why
I
wouldn't
would.
anybody apply?
Why wouldn't
Everybody
anybody?
should apply. Right.
Well, not
Well,
everybody.
they don't want to apply because, as you said, it's very
It's
complicated.
complicated. And some of the things, because I've been helping some
Is it
people,
run by
some of
FEMA?
the things they're telling me, well, yeah, and you're giving everybody a bad rap about the government, so they don't trust them. But I'm here to
Do
say,
you trust the
I will
government?
help you. I don't trust them, but I know
Can
Okay.
trust
the
you
full-
to help them get through
There
the
you go.
process.
Thank you.
Well, you
You're
just-
very welcome.
Hey,
ding,
I'm
ding, ding.
I'm the first person who won't say that the government isn't complicated. That's cute. I complain all the time, and he'll say to me, remember, that's why we do what we do.
Right.
That's why we're making a living, is because it's so darn hard. But Anyway, so one of the other things is.
So wait a second before you
Yes.
go ahead. So how much do I have to make in order?
Well, let's start with
Yeah,
who's
that's-
eligible.
that's
a
what I
good-
was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Well,
a great question. That is a
thank
great
you.
question.
Wait, who asked that? Her or
It
me?
was me.
Well, I don't know. I think you kind of
I
ham
think,
and
I
egged
think
it.
it was mine. I got
So-
4 bells today, I think.
You did
Yeah.
not.
So here's the thing. So people who are sitting
30
here,
years.
it's really if you are eligible, but think about people you may know. There are still people who come to Buttonwood
Yes.
several
Mhm.
times a week to get food.
They're from the island or the other side of the
They're
bridge?
probably on the other
From the
side of the
zip
island,
code.
but they are still in our zip code.
Yep.
Okay.
You know, every one of those people most likely is eligible.
Yeah.
And they're the people who would find it the most difficult to
How
do
many
this.
people on this side of the bridge are eligible?
I don't know. I only have the number. I don't know where they live. But think about retired people. No,
Stop it.
think about retired people.
I didn't create the boundaries. The
Well,
boundaries,
the
they're
boundaries
bridges.
don't exist. It's the zip code. So
They
go
can't
ahead.
vote.
No, it's Lee County.
They can't vote on that side of the
They
bridge.
can't-
But
so you
this
don't
has
care?
nothing to
They
do
can't
with
vote?
that.
But does that make any sense to you? Like that's a zip code that says Fort Myers Beach, but they can't vote. How does that make any sense?
No, the money is for anyone in Lee County.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
I'm just saying how many people are in my community because I
Yeah.
can't go help the people
Right.
all over.
Right.
But I will help you if you're in my county, and I will help you if you
So
live
how long
across
is it going
the
to take
beach.
to fill out one of these applications?
It might take you a half hour tops. And what I have done is I went over to Buttonwood to the FMB Strong location and I talked to them and I said, I don't want everybody and their mother calling me personally, but they come in here. So if they want help,
Yeah.
have them give you,
You
their
should.
name,
You know what you should
and
do?
I will go over there
You should
and I
set
will
up like
work
a.
with them.
You should set up like a
Little-
sit down at Diamond Head
Exactly.
or something, or at the town hall trailers.
Well, that's what the
Yeah.
Buttonwood folks said they would
Oh,
do
at
because they're
Buttonwood.
seeing those
Yeah.
people. So what they'll do is if people are interested, I'll come there, I'll meet with them, I'll
Yeah.
help them fill out their applications. I'll bring my computer, my scanner, and we'll get it done.
Why do you need a
So
scanner?
Well, you
Can
have
you
to
let
submit
us-
a bunch of documents,
Oh, okay.
you know, a bunch of proof.
Sorry,
Just getting
tell us
mad.
the
It's okay.
income limits so that people know that
Yes.
they're going to get lost in all of your
Yeah.
distractions.
So here's probably one of the most important things, and we won't get into how you get to this number, but let's say you have 2 people living in your home
Okay.
and you make under 54,500 a year
The
In
2
income.
people together.
with 2 people.
Okay.
Yep.
So 2 people
You're
under
eligible.
54. Okay.
You're
under
eligible.
54.5,
Or
you're
I should
eligible.
say that's the first place. You say, okay, I'm in the income.
Okay.
thing. So now what else would make me kicked out, right?
Or included.
Or included, right? But that would be the first question I ask people, you know, because if you don't make this cut,
Where you're
Go
not
home.
talking. Yeah.
or let's say you're really close, let's say you're at 81,000, you're 120%. Once the program meets all these other needs and they are going to have money left, then they're going to go to the next level and the
Okay.
next level.
So if 2 people made more than 54,
I say still
they
apply.
just say right.
I
It's
say still
worth it.
apply.
Right.
And I actually talked to them because I have some contacts over there. And I asked that question. I said, I know you're going to have different phases. Do you recommend that people apply if they only fall into this category right now? Or
Right.
do you think they should all throw their name in the hat in case you start going down?
Yeah. Throw your name in the hat.
They said, throw your name in the hat.
All right. So
But I
what's
can
the-
tell you, you may not hear from them or get a check from them down the road.
Right.
But
it's
they
worth
also
putting
told
it
me
in.
you could get a denial letter and you still might be eligible the next round
Yeah,
because there's
we've
money
heard
left
that
over.
before where you got to appeal it. So what's the next?
Okay, so
like,
the next
sort of
requirement
determine
is
it?
you have to own your property.
Okay.
You've got to own it. Okay.
So it can't be someone who's renting.
Can't be someone that's renting. You have to own it. Okay. It is your primary residence. So you are a Florida, Fort Myers, resident. Okay. It doesn't require homestead, but anybody who's not here as a resident should become homesteaded for other reasons, but it's not a requirement. Okay. So you got to own your home and it's
And
got
it's
to
gotta
be your primary no
residence. Okay.
vacation, stuff like that. Okay. It can also be a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex, a townhome, or a condominium. Condominium. You know how many retired people were living in those condominiums?
But
I
it
don't know
does
what
have to
their
be there.
checks were
I think
coming in.
that's the thing. It's got to be the primary residence.
It's got to be your primary residence. Okay. You could have, you could be the owner of a mobile home and they'll buy you a new mobile home if you're in these income limits. All those mobile homes are
over
gone.
there. Yeah. Yep. Well, and red coconut. So
if they were primary residents.
residences.
Yep. Okay. So it can't be any outside structures. It's not going to be your fences. It's not going to be your boat dock.
Right.
It's not going to be pools, things like that. It is the building you lived in.
Right.
Okay. Integral to the house. Okay. So then I think something people need to understand is somebody I was working with met all the requirements and said, I don't want the money because of the requirements. And they misunderstood the requirements. So if you get, let's say they give you $200,000.
Do you have to pay it back?
You do not have to pay it
Okay.
back. But what they want to do is make sure that you are going to live in that property for 5 years.
Okay.
So if it's your primary residence and they give you money to build it back, you're probably going to
And
be
live
living
there.
in it, right?
Mhm.
But they're not trying to help people who are trying to flip homes take
Or-
money from the government.
or
So
rent.
you say
No rent.
5
No
years.
renters. We already talked about
Well,
that.
you can have renters there, but
But
you
the
must live in
renters-
part of it, right?
Right.
So it's still your
if you have
primary
a
home.
duplex.
If
yes.
you have a duplex, you live here, you rent that out. That was your business,
Right.
okay? So where were we? What were we talking about?
No,
so
no, no. Just so
you got to
so
live
they're-
there 5 years.
Right.
The way that they make sure that you don't screw them.
Comes the free tram. We
The
have an
way they make
advertisement
sure-
in the free tram.
No.
Did
How
you know
about
that?
No.
You know, somebody actually came up to me 2 weeks ago and said they wish the tram would stop running because
Really?
nobody's ever on it and it slows traffic down. Well, that tram is half full. I
Has
mean, it's a
people
lot
on
of
Yeah.
people on
I don't
it.
think they should stop it. I think
Yeah.
we should encourage more people to get on it.
True. And
Let's
ride
do that.
bicycles.
Yeah, and
Right.
ride bicycles. Yeah. Okay, so the way that the government makes sure you know it's not flippers trying to get the money
Right.
and then sell the house and they're out of here. They will put a mortgage on your house for the amount of money they give you. So they're saying you got to live there 5 years. If they give you 250
Yeah.
every year that goes by that you didn't sell the house.
Yeah.
They
But it's
forgive
not a
the
mortgage you're paying.
They're not a
on.
mortgage you're paying, but if
Yeah.
you leave, then you're paying it back.
Did you?
Okay.
Did
Okay.
you?
All right.
Did you discuss? We have a question from
You
the
always
audience.
have to muck it up, don't you? That's a whole nother, but it's true. You do.
What did the mayor just say? I didn't
He
hear what
asked
Well,
if
no,
you have
that
a mortgage
mortgage
on it,
wouldn't.
do you
That
have to
mortgage
have
would
flood
not.
insurance?
he said. You do have that.
So
It's not a traditional mortgage, though.
They're fighting.
If you have a loan, if you have a mortgage
a
irrelevant to
bank.
this, to a bank, you have to have insurance. If this is the only thing, that would not kick in. No,
Hmm.
you could be self-insured.
All right.
You can be self-insured.
Can I tell you that this is so boring? This
I
stuff.
know it's
mean,
boring. I know
not
it's
me.
boring.
I'm not saying the show is boring. I'm saying this is hard to understand. Is the better way
Oh, I
to put
think
it.
I
So
think
hard to
that-
understand.
I think that it's not within the scope of the show to be able
It
to
isn't.
explain everything.
I
The
know.
point is to get the information out to people.
I didn't
that
mean
if-
boring. I mean it's
you-
complicated.
It's complicated.
That's
So
why
here's
she's
what I'm
offering
saying.
your
Here's what I'm
services
saying.
to help
Any
people.
ideas that anybody has that how I can help people. I don't want anything in return except to help people who really need help get some money if they're eligible.
Has
Okay?
anybody-
Is there a time limit? Because like
May
we're pretty
23rd.
Oh, that's coming
Ooh.
up.
May
That's next month.
23rd.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So people have to apply before May 23rd.
they have to apply before
How many
May
people
23rd.
have applied?
You know, want to? Okay, so it's been about a week since I looked, but
Yeah.
you want to know how many people in Lee County applied so far? 98.
How many
That's
on the beach?
it?
98.
Wow, that's money.
There are tens of millions of dollars. 98 people.
How many on the beach?
It's too hard.
How many on the beach?
I don't know because I can only see the numbers for the county.
Are you getting angry with me?
yes.
It's
Why?
because you're just
frustrating.
repeating
Well, she didn't
the
answer the
same
question.
question.
What's your question?
I said how many on the beach?
I
She
don't know.
doesn't
It doesn't
know.
break down that way. I just can see them at
How
the
many do
county
you
level.
think? 0, right?
Well, I'm helping 4 right now.
Okay. Do you think
And
they
those
have-
are only people that I helped in other areas, so they know me. That's why I'm grateful
Yes.
to you to get the word out.
Oh, yes. So how can we help you get the word out? Just put your phone number out there, or
So I would say,
or the
no,
license
don't
plate,
put-
or the
don't put-
license
no.
plate of the Porsche.
No, no. Here's what I would. Yeah. Oh dear, help me.
How often do you
Help
get
me,
that car
Lord.
washed? Once a week, or do you wash it every day, or every day? Do you wash it yourself, or you have people for that? He washes it
all
himself.
by himself.
What kind of shiny? It's very shiny. I mean, is there a special kind of?
He wipes it with his backside.
Oh, with his backside. It's got a hairy
there you go.
backside,
He's
or
full.
never
Of,
mind.
he's full of crap. You can't believe a word he says. Okay, so yeah, you want to say how can we help? So I did stop at FMB Strong over in Buttonwood, And they are more than happy to gather names of people as they come in there, because those are most likely the people who can be helped, right? They will take their name down, and we will get back in touch with them and say, Rebecca's going to be here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and, she'll talk to you, because I can help weed people out and tell them I wouldn't apply, or yes, I
Okay.
would, and
That's
I
good.
will make sure you get your money. Like, I will do
But they
everything
need
possible.
to do it. You need to do it soon.
So Debbie
Very
says
soon.
she has a neighbor that could use your help.
Good.
That's
So
good.
what does she do?
Have her neighbor go over to
You
Buttonwood
don't wanna
and
give her
drop
your
her
phone
name
number.
off.
I
No,
really
she
can't,
doesn't
because
want
I
to.
have a business that is
Yeah.
constantly being, I'm on the phone a lot, so I
Yeah.
can't quite do that. But reach out to you, I'll get it from you.
Okay.
But then I would
Yes.
say go to Buttonwood. If you don't know where that is, Ed, you can remind people where that is. But
Right.
they are going to start gathering names, and then I will meet with them, or I could meet with you before. Okay?
So Rhonda says make a post for her. So if you send me something that I
Yes,
can post,
I'll
I
be
will
happy
do that.
to.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Ed.
So how often do you get to drive the Porsche, or are you just a passenger mostly?
Well, we were thinking of switching the other day.
Is
I'm
it a
not sure.
convertible?
No.
Oh, it's not. You should get a convertible Porsche.
I
Don't
agree,
you think?
but he
It's
doesn't
Florida.
like the,
It
sun
must
on
is-
his head.
It must is his hair. Oh, he's kind of
Well,
balding.
he doesn't have any hair. That's the reason.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to get out about this disaster relief, the CBDG?
All right.
No,
There's
that's
a letter
that's
missing.
really it. I just
Yeah.
want to help people who can. And,
No, I know I'm being a jerk, but I will put everything out there in our
Nothing new.
newsletter or on our Facebook page.
Yes.
So yeah,
Thank
help
you.
out. We'll help out.
Thanks.
If people on Fort Myers Beach can get money, I want
there
them
are
to get
people
money.
on Fort Myers Beach, and I'm helping them. So they are.
Cool.
And you don't go around and say my income's down here. So
I
we
see.
don't.
Yeah.
We think
Yeah.
everyone's rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, it
Here's-
should be people in the Cape. It's everybody.
Yeah.
Should at least.
Here's another thing I found. So some people's income, they're afraid their income's too high, because they tell me I had to take money out of my retirement account to help me start building. I talked to the Lee Cares people, and they said we would take that into consideration and not count that income. They
Oh.
understand. They have some flexibility.
Yeah. I'm afraid
All
my
right.
income's getting too high from this show.
I think you should
I mean,
worry about
I
it.
wouldn't be eligible for any kind of loan like that. Or
Well, we don't need anything. We're
No.
out. Our
But if
house
you
is
were,
fine.
wouldn't you want someone who's going
I
to help
would.
you?
I would
I
like
will,
free money
believe
from
me.
the government. You see, my problem is when they tell you it's free money, I don't trust it's free money. I
Well,
think
you're
that
like that. You're not
I know
trusty.
I don't trust the government. And believe me,
It's
I
too
have-
bad.
Well, I think everybody has to do their due diligence and understand.
I trust the
all
local
the
government,
requirements.
not the federal
Do you
government.
trust me?
I trust you more than anybody I've ever met before in my life,
I have
Rebecca.
nothing in it except
Yeah.
want to help.
Ah.
So, is
All
there
right.
anything outside of what you came on the show to talk about that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, yesterday I think I was listening to your show over at Margaritaville,
Thank you.
Mhm.
and I heard you about a year ago saying that you wanted to go to Africa
Mhm.
and do a mission work. And so one of the things I thought about when I heard that was that's life changing stuff.
That's
And
what
you
I
ha-
hear.
You have a huge audience, and the
That's
the
what I hear.
audience out there, when they see, I mean, when people give back, I think it's addictive and it's contagious.
Yes,
and,
we
and
love
people
doing
can
it.
see you doing that anyway. So I don't think you would put something on your website that said, send Kim to Africa, but I would like to put together maybe a GoFundMe page, and I don't know if you would maybe put a link to that. What or do you
Now,
think?
I have to say that we talked, and I
Yeah.
I
You're
said
uncomfortable.
I'm uncomfortable because we don't make a ton of money, but it's
not about that.
I'm working. I don't want people to think it's
No.
just uncomfortable. I
Okay.
appreciate what you're saying.
I love seeing her get
Ah.
uncomfortable.
Okay,
It brings
so-
me
so let
joy
me say
to see
this.
her getting uncomfortable.
If there's one thing that
Well,
I
I
think
just
we
feel
learned
like
through
you
this
joked
hurricane,
about his kidney, and I would never sell his kidney
yes, you would.
to go to Africa. I might sell it just like I might give it away. I mean, I don't know if anyone wants it, but I don't want people to think I was joking yesterday about. I just joke about the money thing.
Nobody even remembers
so-
what you said about my kidney. Nobody.
So you have quite a following. So when I see you put something out there that we want to plant plants over by,
Mhm.
Times Square, I'm shocked. I'm like, how the hell does he do that? Here comes the money. And then Ed's online saying, stop the donating. Then you say, okay, we got so many plants and we got 60 volunteers in like 15 minutes, and now we don't have enough shovels. Next thing you know, he puts something out there, and the people want to help. And I like to help people, but I have found during the hurricane, other people have wanted to help me. And it is so hard to accept help from other people when you're a helper like you guys are. So that is what I'd like to do. If I can put something together that says send Kim to Africa, and anybody who wants
And leave her
to
there.
wants to put, yeah, maybe we won't ever see her again. And then we can send
Did you guys-
Ed to go
I'll be
look for you.
calling from Africa. Send help.
And as soon as she said she was going to Africa, I found a story where somebody that lived in Minnesota was gored by an elephant while they were in Africa. Did you see that?
I did. Well, the trip, I'm excited to go.
Yes, I'm excited for you to go for
and
2
to
weeks.
work, to go to the Little Daughters of St. Joseph, and
Yes.
the kids there.
life-changing.
I've seen.
She's going to bring a baby back in her backpack.
I am not. Stop that. But I have seen it's something that I always wanted to do, and now I'm getting old, so I'm like, I
Right.
better.
Right.
This is a good time to go and do
stop
it.
giving her compliments
So,
on Facebook. Cut it out.
What are they
You
saying?
know.
But yeah, so look what these guys have done for us.
All right.
I know,
look
but
what
we don't,
You guys
you know.
have done for us.
Thank you.
Okay, so if somebody
We'll
wants
see.
to
We'll
say
see.
thank you and
We'll see.
throw you $20,
But-
let them.
but
Let
back
them and
to you-
say,
back to
and
your-
I will take it, and we will do some really good stuff for
Yeah.
the kids there.
Yeah,
yeah,
bring
go
a baby
represent
back.
us.
If
I'm
they-
not gonna,
maybe
I
if-
was shocked
back.
yesterday to hear you say bring a baby
I-
back.
maybe
You're
if
like, I
we-
love babies. And
maybe
then
if-
I was
Does.
shocked to hear you say you love
I
birds
love-
and bunnies.
I didn't put the
He's-
bird
there's a
cage
side
together
of him
yesterday
that-
because I was drinking too
The
much,
bird
but I'm going to
cage?
put the bird cage
Bird
together, or whatever the
feeder.
hell it is, the
Good
bird
luck.
feeder.
Good luck with that.
So the other thing, the thing that you brought up about the reaction that we get on Facebook when we raise money is a
Isn't it
bizarre thing. It's a
mind-blowing?
bizarre
It's just
thing
bizarre.
that we've created. And I'm jonesing for a new project. We need a new project, like something. I need an idea of something, because if we're not doing something, you feel like you're not doing anything.
Well,
So
don't
we
you
need
think
a-
that's why you get that kind of response? Because
think so.
people, I mean, when I give, it's for selfish reasons.
Right.
It feels
makes you
so
feel good. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
right.
And that's when everybody is donating and saying these things. That's
Yeah.
what they're doing.
And
Right.
it's
it feels good.
the thing that's odd about our followers is that I put a limit on the amount of money you're allowed to donate, because you're not everybody's allowed to donate the same amount, which makes it manageable. And
Right.
it also makes it seem like I also do that because I don't want one person
and
to
I
be
think
saying,
that's a
okay,
great
I
strategy.
did it myself.
Or like that guy's in my pocket,
Right.
He's
So
buying my,
I've had
voice.
to send money back to people because they over donated.
and you should.
And because
yeah.
we're all doing it at $30 or $50 at a time, which when you have
Shocks me how
92,000
how
people,
it
you don't
adds
need a
up
lot.
fast.
So
yeah,
we
so
need,
I say let's send Kim to Africa.
and I'm saying this in his presence too, because I want a new project, and I don't even care if it's a private project or a town project. Just give us something to do until this one's done. Like that thing in Times
There will be
Square was
many.
crazy to see all those people
Oh
show up.
man.
And Kathy Turner was like, it's going to take to Monday and Tuesday. And then she saw all those people and she's like, cancel Tuesday. The next day, we're going to finish
Get
this
it
in
all
4
in
hours.
one day.
I'll
Yeah,
tell
they
you what,
really did.
I can think of an area where you might be able to help, and this
Okay.
would be a community thing too. So it's fun to see. It's fun to see Times Square come back and stuff. But we had some areas even in our neighborhood.
Which
Remind
is?
me to tell you a funny story.
Which is?
I live right by Publix on Williams and
Okay.
Glenview, and we have some piles of debris that were kind of showed up after the trucks were gone.
Mhm.
And for the most part, people don't know how the hell.
Yeah.
How do you get that out of here?
It's too
I
big
get,
for
like,
a
buckets.
garbage truck. Yeah.
Yeah, but it would change a lot if we could clean up some of these. And so I don't know how it would work. Maybe you'd have to say it's my property. I'm willing for volunteers to come on
Okay.
it.
Right.
But maybe someone's
It's worth
got a
looking
truck.
into.
Someone's got a dump truck.
Listen,
They're
see-
willing to spend
see-
a Sunday.
like a
Seagate.
street cleanup.
Seagate wants to help out a
yeah,
lot.
pick a couple
Yeah,
streets.
yeah.
Yeah. And do them.
All right. Well, we've got a
Thank
committee that we need to put together to come up
There
with
you go.
projects. The project committee.
The
We'll get
project
rid of the Murph committee and start a
There
project
you
committee.
go. You need a what do they call them? An advisory committee
There
for
you go.
projects.
Can we get a big hand for Rebecca
Yes,
Link,
so
everybody?
please.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thanks
Thank
for your
you.
job, too.
You are
It's fabulous. Thank you for coming on, Rebecca. I don't know if, we have to wrap up because we're having lunch with our daughter, and nothing is better than having lunch with your daughter, unless she brings a baby home, and then nothing wrong with our daughter, but if she brings a baby home, we're not having lunch. We're having a big celebration, and so what I did want to remind everybody is, or tell everybody, is we did order the doggy bandanas. We're getting the yellow bandanas for the doggies after seeing the dog with the T-shirt on yesterday. I don't have any answer for the Newton Park question. And we're getting doggy T-shirts too. So that's our next thing. Doggy T-shirts and doggy bandanas. We will see you guys Tuesday morning. We're going to be out at the 7-Eleven on the South End with some video because you will finally be able to get gas on the South End of Fort Myers Beach. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for everything. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.